Magic 87.6, Andrew on the radio, and Mathew Dickerson, hello.
Yeah, good morning. Great to see you again, Andrew.
Always a pleasure, mate. Now, if you're a gamer, all of a sudden things are starting to get real because, look, gamers are starting to become real race drivers.
I really have a problem with this, Andrew, because I've been telling my son in particular and my kids in general, stop wasting your time on those games. Go and do something real in the real world. And now we see this 22-year-old gamer who last year won $1 million in his gaming. Well, that sounds like a reasonable bit of income for a start. But now he's being picked up by Jenson Button's team. He's got Jenson Button, the Formula F1 world champion, who's got a race car team. And because he showed such brilliant skills in sim racing, they put him into the real world. And guess what? First race, he won. So all this experience, all this experience on sim gaming, on basically playing games, is translated to the real world. So I just think it's probably a bit of an indication of just how good the sim games are and the sim races are, that you can translate those skills. But obviously the same skills that you need in gaming can be used in the real world. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this happening.
I actually tried that sim racing once at a mate's place, Matt. And he had the steering wheel and the pedals and the whole lot. And I thought, I drive a car and I play car games all the time. This would be really, really easy. I couldn't get through half a lap. It was the hardest thing I ever did.
They do make it very realistic, and I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
And in fact, I watched a bit of F1 on the weekend, and Nico Hülkenberg, I'm not sure if you saw the story, but because one of the other drivers had COVID-19, they brought back Nico Hülkenberg out of retirement. And to get him used to the car, because it's changed a bit since he last drove one, to get him used to the car, they put him in a sim, and they had him driving laps around Silverstone in the sim before he got out there on the track in the real world to actually start driving. So the sims are very realistic. Now, I imagine that an F1 team has a sim that's a little bit better than your mate might have had with some pedals and a steering wheel, but the point is that you can get a pretty realistic experience of how hard it is to drive a car with the simulations.
Yeah, and Nissan did it a couple of years ago at Bathurst as well. I remember they had a whole team that was just filled with gamer drivers, and I think they actually came third.
Yeah, there's been
some. They win?
Yeah, no, they actually won. There's been some success where they've actually had some of those driving simulators and some of those competitions around the world to try and find these racing drivers that haven't gone through the traditional route of, say, go-karts and then some of the lower formulas to build up. And so there was a team, I think, with Nissan Motorsport that used to do some of those competitions, some sim competitions. And you're right, they actually had some success around, I think, something like Le Mans or some of the 24-hour races around the world. And they actually did win a 12-hour race at Bathurst, not the normal Bathurst, the 12-hour race at Bathurst.
Yeah, no, it was a huge deal. There you go, parents. You can't use the line, "You'll never amount to anything doing that."
No,
there is a serious career path in gaming.
All my arguments have gone out the window now. I'm
I
shattered.
know, right? You're going to have to come up with a new line there, Matt.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Now, Telstra, of course, some of us were hit with the outages on the weekend. Kind of what caused it?
I don't know, and that's the problem. On the weekend, there was an announcement by Telstra. They apologised to customers, mainly in Sydney and Melbourne, but certainly in region areas we felt it as well, where they said that there was a cyber attack. So Telstra was under a cyber attack, which sounds a bit scary. And the particular type of cyber attack was what's called a denial of service attack, where they just flood a server or a website with so much traffic that nothing else can operate. It's like a gridlock, if you like, in a technology sense. And so that was the initial announcement from Telstra. Sorry about this, we're under a cyber attack, we're working on it. But then they came out and said, no, sorry, we weren't under a cyber attack. We had a problem with one of our domain name servers. We've fixed the problem now, everything's okay. And so at face value, you think that's all that's happened. But then there's been some further speculation, not from Telstra, but from other people saying that it still was a cyber attack, but either Telstra or the government have told Telstra to say that it wasn't a cyber attack because they didn't want people to be concerned about their data or just have fears about a cyber attack in general. So what really happened, I actually don't know. So I'll leave a bit more research, a bit more investigation to occur before I actually finally come to a conclusion about exactly what happened with internet outages on the weekend.
Yeah, we were affected by it here in Mudgee. We woke up on the weekend and had no internet and flicked over the data and went, oh, that's working. That's really weird. But just come out and say what it is. Just tell us. There's no real shame in it anymore. Just say it. It causes so much, confusion when you just keep it in the shade.
I think you're right. I think finding out exactly what happened will be something that I'm sure lots of people are working on right now. And I'm sure we'll find out the real answer maybe in a few days. And maybe it was just a problem with the domain name server. But there's nothing like a little bit of a sniff of a conspiracy to get a few people stirred up about it all.
Oh, no, right. Virgin Galactic, they want to send people, of course, around the planet. How fast are they going to send them, Matt? Real fast, right?
Real fast. Mach 3. They're going to be going 3 times the speed of sound. That's the plan at this stage. They've done some of the testing. They've got Rolls-Royce on board to build some of the engines. They've started talking about certification and the materials that might be needed to build a plane like this. Of course, Virgin Galactic, their initial reason for existing was to get people to experience space travel, so being able to go up into the lower reaches of space and actually experience what it might feel to be almost weightless up there. And so essentially that was their original reason for existing, but now they're talking about sending people from A to B around the planet at 3,700 kilometres per hour. Now this is assuming that we will get to the point where we'll want to travel internationally again and certainly travel a lot more on planes than we are at the moment. But to give you an idea of what this will mean, to going from one side of America to the other, and obviously people travel around America a lot by planes normally, you might be talking as little as 90 minutes to get from one side of America to the other. Getting from America across to Europe, for example, might only be a 5-hour trip. So it's getting to that point. The Concorde broke some new ground around this, obviously, but now the Concorde doesn't exist anymore. Then we're talking about maybe getting back to that with Virgin Galactic.
Well, Virgin is red, and red planes go faster than anything else. So I can imagine, go really, really fast.
Look, obviously that was the reason for having the Virgin branding in the red colour, because everyone knows that red goes faster.
Yeah, red goes faster. There you go. Samsung, they're going to unpack some new gear this week.
Well, they're going to unpack some new gear, but we already know most of what they're going to unpack. It's one of those things where they've teased and released and leaked so much information that we're pretty confident that there's going to be 5 new products announced at Galaxy Unpacked. This will be early Thursday morning. I'll be up nice and bright and early and watch it live so I can report to your listeners next week. But essentially, you'll have a Galaxy Note 20, there'll be a Galaxy Fold 2, a new Galaxy Watch, the Watch 3, some new Galaxy earbuds, and the Galaxy Tab S7 will be the 5 products released. More details will come out at the unveiling, at the launch, obviously, but we know about those general products at the moment. And the thing that I've said a lot is that what I love about the competition between Samsung and Apple, they're the main 2 competitors at the moment. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Apple camp or the Samsung camp, or whether you're using other Android products, whether it might be a Pixel, for example, or an LG phone. The competition amongst these 2 heavyweights is fantastic because it just keeps improving products and keeping prices at a reasonable level. They're still pretty expensive, but a reasonable level. And I compare that to the very first phone I sold 30 years ago. It was $5,000 in 1990 money. So even though people complain a bit now about phones hitting the $2,000 mark, in real terms, they're actually quite relatively inexpensive compared to what they were 30 years ago.
That's crazy. They've only just released the Tab S6 range and already we're going to Tab S7.
Yeah, and one thing I'm actually intrigued about, they'll make the announcement on Thursday, but when will some of these products be available? Because normally when they make the announcement, it's not long after the products are available, but COVID-19 has thrown so many spanners into manufacturing processes that it may be another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe even over a month before some of these products are actually available to purchase.
Yeah, thank you very much, Samsung, for making me another confused consumer, because I really need to buy a new tablet, Matt, and I was actually going to go buy an S6, and I really need one, and now I'm going to be one of these consumers going, I can't wait another couple of months for the S7. You know what I mean? You get cheesed off as a consumer when you go and buy something, then all of a sudden it gets superseded 2 seconds later.
Well, my advice would be wait till Thursday morning, wait till the Unpacked announcements and see exactly what the S7 looks like, and you might say, well, you know what, the S6 is good enough for me, I don't need the new fancy whiz-bang feature on the S7, or maybe you want to hang out for it.
No, I got to have the newest and the latest. Don't you know the Joneses? I'm one of them Joneses.
Yeah, okay, right, well, you start waiting then. You start counting the days till it's available.
Frustration. All right, Apple, they're on track for their September launch as well.
Well, they're on track for their September announcement maybe, but maybe not their actual launch. there is some discussion, and there was a call to investors that was made this week where Apple talked about the fact that they won't have their phone launched in September in their normal time frame. They're saying that they might have it a few weeks afterwards, and this isn't unprecedented. They've done this before where they've made their announcements in September as they normally do, and then the phones are normally available in September, but sometimes due to manufacturing issues or whatever other issues they might have at the time, the phones aren't actually available for purchase till maybe October or maybe even November. And this year might be similar to that. I personally think there'll be probably November before we'll get our hands on the phones that they'll be announcing. And they'll still probably announce them in September, but I think it'll be November before we'll be able to see those, at the very least, see them in decent quantities.
Yeah, I like it. I like all the phone and technology people to go back to the way Steve Jobs used to do it. Something new every couple of years. I'm comfortable with something new every couple of years. This new every year thing, it does my head in. It really does do my head in.
Well, look, go and have a word to Tim Cook, will you? He's the head of Apple these days. And when
don't they have enough money?
Well, that's what I say. When you look at the company that's currently valued, market capitalisation is the largest of any company in the world at the moment. And go and have the argument with Tim Cook and say, Tim, just knock back those launches a bit, will you?
Yeah.
Just reduce that a bit. Look, I know you've probably made a bit of money over it in the past, but look, I'm a bit sick of it, thanks, as a consumer. And see how you go with that discussion, especially when you pull the Samsung phone out of your pocket and show him that.
No worries. I'll add my Samsung tablet that apparently I'm going to have as well.
That's right.